Yeah, that's it. So see the green in there and then. Okay. Okay. Wait, I've been caught. I was caught. You were. Yeah, but wait a minute. You look, it's too dark up there. I'm sorry, it's too dark up there. Oh, no, perfect. No, what do you guys think? I'm just worried about our audience.
Yeah,
I think it's too dark, but they don't need to see us, I think. Oh, God, no.
wow. Wow.
I think that's fine. What do you guys think? I think that's the best we're gonna get. Okay, we have 1 minute, I'm pretty prompt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we do have a quorum. I'll wait 1 minute. Yeah.
She's here.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, it's 7:30. I want to welcome everyone to our July 13th, 2023 meeting. Before we begin, as we take roll count, John is not going to be with us tonight. He's stuck in on business in Chicago. So again, I want to always thank the staff and every. Okay, sorry. Valerie Nelson.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Here.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the June 15th board meeting. Aye.
I second. Aye.
if I unmute.
No,
No. What's that?
no idea, but I do have a question. My question is, when you look at both quotes, one of them talks about creating, adding an attic fan, MAK, but the other one doesn't. Did we hear why they have a different view on that?
Bring air into the space. You don't want air in the space, you want it to be sealed. He also wanted to change the vent so that the vent to the outside to bring air into the space, which you don't want to do.
Dawn, many of us travel, for
Yeah.
business stuff, so I kind of like the fact that we're all, as long as we have a quorum. But that being said,
So we used to, I mean,
Yes.
it used to be whatever, the third Thursday of every month or something like that. And then we always, if it didn't work for enough people for some reason, then we switched it.
that
I will not be here a lot of August. That's move-in weekend for college, move-in week for college. Thank you. That week is move-in week, so I'll be in Arizona that week.
how does the fourth week work for everyone? Well, I think that because we're a library board and we have to approve warrants and everything, we really should meet every month. Believe it or not, when I first got on this board, we met twice a month. Because we have to approve warrants, we have to approve. Finance.
Good for me.
Valerie's not around. Valerie's not.
Yeah, I'm here that week. Yes. I'm open.
Follow week, August 22nd. No. How about this? Can we make it Wednesday, August 23rd? Does that work for everyone here? Okay. 23rd.
All right. Okay, where do we want to start? Okay, great. Yeah, so I I like to switch. You don't like it? Okay. So, and the reason
I
why-
did not love the format, but I didn't write an email to you guys because I'm only one person, so I need board approval. So what does everyone else think?
So, again, as QuickBooks has involved, I like to, when I have a few minutes, I like to play around and see what type of reports it could spit out. Of course, I give you every month, a balance sheet, a P&L, and a budgetary type of analysis, and I do comparatives. But this QuickBooks report, is strictly, it talks about the profit and loss for the, up until the year to date. There isn't any comparative, but if you want comparative move forward, that's not a problem. That's
So
pretty
that's
much what
what I
I've been,
did like about it. There was no
yeah,
comparisons.
okay.
And the AP aging detail,
That AP aging detail, that's just like part of the report, but that,
I didn't-
it's irrelevant, to be honest with
Exactly.
you. It only
I didn't
happens
feel
until
that- I
the end.
didn't see why we did that, to be honest with you, and printed it.
So, but needless to say, the one thing that I did like
My personal.
on this report, which I thought that the board would like, is the year-to-date expenditures on this report by vendor. Which is, I think, pretty useful tool. That's why I liked this particular report. So when you, and the reason why this came into play is because, as we'll talk a little later on, Jen and I were working on this 2024 budget presentation. So this was pretty useful tool, but that's all right, duly noted. And next time,
Yeah, I
know,
like the comparisons. I don't know
that's
how
fine.
anyone else feels. Please let me know, but I like but I do like, if I'm looking at financials for me, I like to see what we
I
spent
want to
last
keep you,
year
I want to
versus
keep you
this year.
guys engaged. So,
Yes. I want to see, well, I'm Mike Lewis will tell you I'm too engaged. But
yes.
I like the comparisons
Well,
from last year versus this year.
All kidding aside, I mean, that's fine. That's not a problem. But the real reason why I wanted to just get to the nuts and bolts of this, because I think right now we want to concentrate ultimately on going over this 2024, presentation. So let me just go quickly on this management report, and I actually can send you guys after this presentation. I have no problem rerunning, the comparative, so you can just take a look at it, just for FYI. But
What do you
this
think,
is-
Mike? Okay.
that's fine.
So my only thing is, before we go vendor by vendor, because I did look vendor by vendor and I saw some vendors wanted to be cut 50% or something. I saw in the notes and everything. My only thing is that Alan does a very good report on attendance, and I always look at attendance. So I realize that attendance, in my personal opinion, is vendor driven. That's how I always feel. If we have 2 or 3 kids, that program should be slashed, or adults. I always talk kids, adults. But if we get 20, 30, 40, I always look at and say, you know something? We need to keep that program. So my thing is always with attendance. That's how I base every program. I think that's how we should base it, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I know that when, not to get off the topic, but when we were going over the budget, we were doing it by vendor, and we were using the attendance roster.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's part of this packet, but
No.
but that's what we were doing.
But it was in the Dropbox.
Okay, good. But anyway, let me just go quickly on on this presentation as of June 30th. So quickly on the balance sheet, you'll see.
Excuse me, before we drop that, I just want to say that I think the issue is a little bit more complex than attendance. Because some of it has to do with our marketing approach. Some of it has to do with our mission about whether we want to have those type of programs. So I think it's just a little bit more complicated than that.
So the total income as of June 30th cumulatively is 454,000, of which 387,000 of it is the revenue recognition of the tax cap levy, 387,149. So that at that point, that represents half of the levy. Even though we've received the full amount, when we go on to the next page, you'll see that there's deferred revenue, but also will see, you'll see the interest income. Obviously, with interest rates higher, we have, we've yielded more interest, so that's about 16,000. The cottage rental is self-explanatory, the tenant's up to date. You have the investment income, from the Schwab endowment accounts, which total almost give or take about 14,000 there. That's real interest income. And then you have your market gain investment of shy of $10,000 as well. And then you have your donations of 3,300 and some other miscellaneous items. So that makes up 454,216. Then you have your library services at a total of 57,000, of which the programs count number 8240, shy of 27,000 makes up the bulk of that, as well as the the children's program of 16,000. And then you also have your $7,400, which is your adult book. So those make up the majority of the library services. And then you have your office G&A, 73,000 year to date. And you'll see, the various, you got the accounting services, you have the professional consultants, which is the audit fee of 12,000. If you flip on the page, you'll see some other miscellaneous items here, $8,400 for equipment purchase, and office supplies of $6,400. Then you have your properties and grounds, of the 227,000, the parking lot project is 177,000 of that. Then you have also your interior renovations of $21,000. Then, and then on the salaries and the benefits, total of $143,000, of which 109,000 of that is salaries, and then you have all your associated benefits with that. You have your technology, 34,500, and then you also have your utilities of shy of $15,000. So the total expenses is 550,000 year to date. The net loss, even though it says net income, but the net loss is 97,000. But keep in mind, the majority of that is probably is yielded with that parking lot project, which at the end of the year, that'll be capitalized and the loss won't be, it won't be that much.
It's also the interior renovation.
Yeah, yeah, and the interior renovations of
Probably
the,
not- Yeah, parking lot, it's interior renovation is probably the bulk of it.
well, you have, yeah, but you have parking lot of 176,000. So. Interior is 21,000. Correct, correct. So right now, this is based on cash basis, and then at the end of the year, when we work with the auditors, it'll be considered a modified accrual. And then again, again, this was just, if you, I wouldn't worry about the AP aging. That's just that comes into play at the end of the year. It's really the more for the information for you guys, where you have the expenses by vendor summary. So this is more just FYI. So of the on page 8 of 8, there's your total 550, 51 shy of 551,000, and then you can just look at everybody that that the library's done business with so far. Lawrence Construction, 176,000, et cetera.
Do I have any questions? Thank you, Mikey. I would just like to see comparison from last year
Yeah.
to this year. That's. does
That's pretty
everyone
much what I've
agree?
been doing for the last,
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
5
for-
years.
For me, it's the budget versus actual that I think is really important.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. See?
So yeah, I like budget versus actual in this year versus last year,
Yeah, that's fine.
just for
No problem.
comparison's sake. So if there's no further questions, thank you, Mike. Has everyone had a chance to look at the warrants? I only have one question. Was $795 for the once a year maintenance on our generator. Should we price shop that? I know, Mike, give the
Oh.
microphone. Should we price shop that, or is that a company that installed this and when we have a contract, we should go with them?
Yes, and we do have a contract with them, and it's been
Okay.
the same for like 5 or something years.
Okay,
so-
I know that our generator, just to let everyone know, is diesel. It's not, so that happens to be a different kind of generator than most generators. So I know not everyone services diesel, so I'm fine with that. Does anyone else have any questions on the warrants?
I just have a question on the Westchester Library System, the 19,000.
Yeah.
Is that twice a year or is it an annual? Because I couldn't understand it when
It's
I read.
twice.
Twice a year.
That's what I thought. Okay, so it's twice a year. Okay. So, and that's all our we pay them for all the digital content for like.
It's
when people
shared digital content, support, IT, that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Libby,
Everything. Yeah.
all that stuff
okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
that all the Westchester County libraries are a part of. Any other questions?
Jennifer, I might hold it, but I noticed the insurance bill for the cottage. And I know you
Yes.
have a whole section where you did an analysis on insurance for the cottage. What insurance are we holding for the cottage? Because I assume
Nobody
they,
else would give them a quote for the cottage. That's why we renewed with the one that we have. So that one wasn't comparison shop. No one was willing to give them a
Okay.
quote for that one. Does that answer the
no,
question?
no, what are we insuring? Just the building? Like, do they have renter's assurance, I'm assuming, for the contents?
They do.
So it's liability and building structure.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And is that a
yes.
yearly fee, 3,000?
is.
Okay.
Cottage.
I believe it's Chubb or Utica. It's in the,
Is it
It's in
the
the
original
Dropbox.
one? It was hyphen something. I think it was Chubb. If it was. No,
Well,
they
Regan's
didn't-
the
it moved to
agency.
Utica.
But then it's, yeah.
I don't think the cottage moved to Utica, only the library did. Yeah. But now what about the bill for the insurance? Is that monthly or when?
The 3,000 is annual for the cottage.
Right, and then what about for the library itself? Is that on here?
No, it's not on here
Okay,
yet.
that's not on here yet. Okay,
That's billed in installments. You'll see it to the Reagan Agency,
okay, thank you.
but you are going to be reviewing workers' compensation quotes tonight.
Yeah, the cottage is yearly. It's a very old building. We've had this problem in the past because it's a older structure. We've had problems in my previous boards here on the library. We've had problems getting insurance there. I agree with Jennifer. We should keep the only one who wants to insure us. Just because of, again, it's a landmark building. It's Alice's Cottage is one of the oldest buildings in Pound Ridge, so that has several people scared with insurance companies, unfortunately. It is what it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. How do we make the payments? We're going to be making it via.
No,
When we made significant renovations, repairs to the cottage, did we update the insurance company?
No. I don't consider what we did a major renovations and upgrades. They
Oh.
were like replacing the hood on the range and repairing broken windows and that kind of thing.
Okay, good. Just if it turns out that we make a claim, they probably need to know what we did.
Well, tomorrow they're coming to do an inspection of the entire building, including the
Perfect.
cottage. So yeah, they'll make note.
Yeah, the thing that I think is important that we make sure we tell them is the asbestos removal.
I'll make a note to do that.
so
yes.
just a quick question. I wasn't at the special meeting for the insurance, but what did you say that Utica didn't want to give us a price for the cottage? Is that what it?
The cottage has always been an issue since I've
It
been on the
ha-
board
okay.
almost 7 years.
That's interesting. All right.
Because it's a
Oh.
landmark building.
Okay,
So landmark means that we can't do anything to the facade outside. At one point, I believe we did have some foundation leaks and some water issues in the basement, but the basement is not finished at all. But it's landmark, but it's also an 1800 building. And so, not every insurance company wants to cover an 1800,
okay.
building. They want to cover new construction. It's not cost effective for a
Okay.
lot of people.
Because Utica has been my carrier for, 40, for every house I've owned and every car
You
I've
don't have an
owned.
1800.
I know, but they do insure homes, but it's just weird that they don't want,
It's-
they
it's-
don't want to
because-
insure the
well,
cottage.
it's considered kind of historical. It's old.
Okay.
It's an antique, over
Yeah.
100 years old is considered antique, and not every insurance company
Okay.
covers antiques, and it's considered an antique.
Okay, all right.
So, but they are doing an assessment tomorrow.
I make a motion that we pay the warrants of $54,364.16.
All in favor?
Yeah, we got last minute bills in at 6:30. I
Let
added
me-
those. Do you have the new number 55,665.16?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Dropbox, not so
Thought I updated that.
I amend my motion to pay the warrants of 55,665.16.
I second. All in favor? Do I hear? Aye. Okay, passed. Mike, how much do we need to move? Okay. Okay, great. Okay, if we don't need to move,
The key, no, we're paying it at a Chase, right? Oh. Yep.
okay, so we
so
don't
we're
need to
okay
move
this month.
anything. Okay, so let's move on to our audit, O'Connor and Davies. Do I have any questions? If there's no questions, we can approve it.
Yeah, I mean, just like last month, Jeff Shaver came here, he gave a presentation to the board. Obviously, he gave a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion. So nice, another successful audit. And as a good business practice, if you want to say, you know, they like the board to formally approve it and go into the minutes to
Yep.
accept the meetings.
So I make a motion that we accept the audit report as issued by O'Connor Davies, prepared for the December 31, 2022.
Great. Do I have a second? Oh, okay. Question? Let's ask, yes, let's ask Mike.
It's
Lewis.
educational. Yeah, no,
Education.
this is all informative.
I wanted to make a comment about that, that if you have the time, or maybe
The time.
insomnia, I would try and slog through their educational pages, because actually I found them very educational, very interesting.
Let's put it this way. If there was any
They would
fraud
be
or,
here.
they would not be issuing an unmodified opinion, that I can
Exactly.
promise you. So,
I think it might just be wording, like we have identified the following significant
Yeah.
risks in connection, a little misleading. Thank you.
So just a little history, a very quick history, PF O'Connor and Davies. I had suggested them to this board about 5, 6 years ago. I worked with them at the town board when I worked on the town board. We've always had good reviews and we continue to have good reviews. After we approve it tonight, if everyone could put their copy up here, it should be made at the front desk. And we're going to put our financials onto our website. So if there's no more questions, do I have approval for our, do I have approval? Valerie, I need a second. Mike Clark, all in favor? Aye, great. Jennifer, we've had approved financials. If you can post this tomorrow on our website, and everyone, we should have a copy at the front desk in case anyone asks. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Jennifer. I want to thank everyone who was involved in our financials. Thank you again. So no further ado, let's go on to our budget of 2024. So if you see, we have this in our pamphlets and everything. It was in our Dropbox. Questions? I only have a couple of questions, Mike.
oh, you like this format, I hope?
You know, I got used, this format's fine for me.
Yeah.
So any questions?
So this format gives just, you know, just for board members that are new, you know, in order to build, you know, a good budget, if you want to say, a responsible budget, you know, you try to have anywhere between 3 to 5 years of actual data. So for the purposes of, you know, this presentation, we have 2021 actual, 2022 actual, those are all audited numbers. And then we also have, even though we just presented as of June 30th, for the presentation purposes, we had, you know, we compare the baseline of 2023 budget, and we have 5 months worth of data, you know, from May 31st of 23. And then we conservatively project based on trend analysis what we think is going to be the revenues and the expenses for that,
Okay,
for
so
that operating year.
as you know, I do have a couple of questions. So the book sale, actual 2023, $31,415.
That's not, it's what that really is what is in the parentheses. That is investment income, and that's the gains and the losses on the endowment funds. I don't
That's
know.
what I thought, but why do we put it in 6331? I'm sorry?
So you'll see in the 20,
Okay,
it's already, I mean, So again, the 3,400, 3,401, 2, 35,
Yeah,
oh, blah, 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 blah. That is all, those are all the investment and the market gains and losses on the endowment funds.
but my thing is.
That's,
I
that-
know, but my thing is the 6331 book sale, like. Yeah,
I don't,
I know. So. No, I understand what Jennifer's saying.
that's irrelevant. That 6331 is, that's not.
Yeah, okay, I just don't like it.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
so
But the-
book sale.
But keep
okay.
keep in mind that before a couple of years ago, the auditors, we had for a better lack of words, we had, I don't want to say two sets of books, but we had QuickBooks
We
that
did.
had our regular operating,
did.
and then we had another ledger for our endowment funds. And then with their recommendation,
did.
we merged everything. And that's why now you have these accounts that are now on this particular budget. But these are their market value gains and losses. It's hard
No, we
to,
understand that. It was
so
just
you don't
book
really
sale.
need to,
Yes, no, I understand, I understand. So the other thing is, I totally agree. We should separate the passport income. Totally agree with that. Remember, we should create a line item. You said that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Passports, we do passports. We make $35 a passport.
I got two now. On 6910 interest income,
so that 6910 is just that, yeah, so that's the interest that you're gaining on those other accounts. Those
right? I just didn't understand why it's 4,500.
Could be more. It
Well,
could definitely,
just when you look at 2022 actual and 2023 actual, it seems like it's significantly higher than the 4,500. So,
absolutely, you could,
okay.
that's why this is for discussion. It was
right,
just a
so-
placeholder.
Okay.
We could put 50,000 if you want. I
Well,
mean, we could,
I
you
would
know,
say 15. is
yeah.
my estimate based on what I'm
Well,
seeing.
keep in mind, that's assuming that the rates are going to be the same and that we're going to keep that same cash balance.
Yeah,
So
we're probably
just
not.
because it's
All right,
trending,
so I
so
don't know.
maybe 10,000
Yeah,
would
10,000
be
is
more
fine.
reasonable.
Again, I would like to make a line item for passports. I think that's instead of miscellaneous income. You agree?
We actually have the, 6,400 is actually the passport income. So we could just,
Yeah, then we
Use
should
that
move it instead of
5,000.
miscellaneous 6,400. And then how about, we have fines and everything. Where is that? I didn't see that on this worksheet. Where is that going?
6,390 is the fine income.
Oh, yeah, okay, so, okay, I'm sorry, but. So in the 2023, we had $730. I'm sorry, that was my question. Yeah, budget, and then actual was 79 and 100. So we go to actual 2022, we had a lot of fines. So I guess people are being more responsible? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Okay. Then people are being more responsible. I was pretty shocked at that number, quite frankly. Okay, so then I have, is everyone okay with the first page?
I just have an overall question for my education. My understanding is that year to year budgets, that any change that we make in a proposal needs to be reviewed by the town that is making our subsidies, if it's more
No.
than,
If it's more, so we collect $774,000 from the town. And then other extra income, like we have the cottage, we have the fines, we have the passports and miscellaneous. We cannot make any adjustments to the 774,000 unless in September, when we vote for trustees as well as our budget, we could increase our budget or keep the same budget of 774,000. So we can't change that. That is income from tax dollars. And unless the taxpayers vote to increase our budget in September, we must use that $774,000 as our baseline budget.
I think my confusion is that you're using the word budget.
I was just gonna, you want, it's increasing levy versus increasing total budget.
Yeah, so,
Exactly.
okay, now I
Exactly.
understand. Thank you.
Exactly. So I'm going to adult books. I totally agree. Totally agree. We should lower that proposal. I'm on the second page. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Anyone have a comment on that? Okay, great. So on the third page, and we don't have these numbers, so just go 1, 2, 3. I did have, books on CD, like, okay, someone has to explain this to me.
So yeah, this is a big jump in numbers. We're at 80-30 or ebooks, which should really just say e-content.
Yeah.
We've had a change, the entire WLS system has had a change in their pricing models. The way it used to work was WLS buys, say, 10 copies of lessons in chemistry, and we all share it as a cooperative. Some of the bigger libraries like White Plains Library might say, this can't satisfy, I'm going to buy 20 more. And and then everyone at the library reads it and everything. And then if nobody's taking it out, then we get to use it, everybody else. So they've basically been subsidizing us. And they've put their foot down and they're not going to do that anymore. So now we have to make some purchases for ebooks and audiobooks for our own patrons. So we started that as of June 1st. Everybody started this as of June 1st. I was anxious to see what the number was going to be. So I went in and checked, and it turns out that we have spent about $1,000 for this under this new pricing model. So that's why I'm approximating $12,000 as a proposed number for the budget for 2024.
Jennifer, I think that's great context. Thank you. My only thought is, I don't know like where June falls, like in the reading busyness category. So we might want to give ourselves a little bit more cushion, given the
Sure.
popularity of ebooks. Just food for thought, rather than approximating June as the model month.
Mhm.
What do we think?
I think that's, Jen, I think that's a great point. I also think that then we should maybe take away more adult books in the financials, maybe lower that number a little
Well,
bit
it looks
more.
like we've just gained 5,000 in the interest category. So that could actually offset the expense for the ebooks. If you want to pop that up to 17, do you want to put it up that high?
Yeah, I just want to give us realistic
I'm
cushioning.
all
for-
on board for
Is
that.
June
definitely.
typically like a busy
It's the
bargain?
beginning of the summer. read
Yes.
Okay,
season,
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd
good.
say it's
No,
pretty
June
good.
is a very busy read.
Okay.
Totally.
All months are busy.
5,500. Okay.
No, but June is in particularly busy
Right.
because most of us go on vacation, so we need a
Yeah.
good book.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so, and,
then-
and yeah, it's only going to get higher in July and August, like
Yeah,
she says, when people go on
Because
vacation.
as we know, I looked for books today. I was in, and so one of my favorite books, Sarah, Addison has been my favorite author and
I
we didn't
love
have some of the book. Oh, yeah. And so we didn't have some of her books. It's a very busy month. And we
Yeah.
usually have all her books.
I think, yeah, it's just 1 month of data. So I just figured,
Yeah, but it's a very
Just-
busy month.
yeah.
And Jennifer's right. July and August, if we historically
It'll
look at
go up.
Alan or the statistics, I guess Jennifer gives us to us, our number of books being taken out is very high these months. Yeah.
So Mike just reminded me that we actually gained 5,500 with the interest bump that we did. So we could put all of that towards the e-content if everyone's amenable to that.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll add 5,500.
So the adult programs, I'm going down. I know that,
So there's a reconciliation, a colorful reconciliation in your folders.
yes,
So the way that things have worked out this year, we increased our budget in 2023 to 45,000 from 40. That 5,000 was to account for the one-time storytelling grand reopening event.
yes.
So 40 was around the number that we were historically doing. So we're at 45. When I figured out what we had spent through 2023, we're projected to land at 56,000, even though we've only budgeted 45,000. So we're either going to have to talk about increasing program which may be the 5,500, so make it split, or getting rid of some of the programs we have or having them less frequently. So I spoke with Marilyn about it. And we, based on the attendance in those programs, and as Mike was saying, that's only one factor that should be considered. We looked at the top spenders, which I also put in the Dropbox, as you see.
Yes.
And it turned out to be the writing course was the top spender, 6,900 or 25% of the entire budget. Maryland was hesitant to make any reductions in the number of sessions that were being offered. So the next ones that came up behind those were Ikebana and also Tai Chi were kind of numbers that we thought we could either reduce the number offered or eliminate the program altogether.
Can
And I drew up a bunch of scenarios based on if you want to get rid of this, it'll
So
shake out to this number. So-
I also looked at some of these numbers. I totally agree. The wellness programs,
Can I ask a writer's workshop question though, before we decide that we're not going to cut it?
oh, yeah.
Is it limited to how many people can attend?
14.
Yes,
Okay.
14.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But
but-
it's always fully populated.
Yeah, no.
No,
that's-
that, all right, the writer's inspiration, I see the numbers that Alan prints out. Or I'm sorry, I don't know who prints them out, but Alan does, is always full. But I did notice in our wellness programs, it's under attended, especially with Tai Chi. I think we could easily cut a lot of the wellness programs. It's just 2, 3, 4, 5 people. The yoga, I mean,
It kind of fluctuates.
yeah,
But if we were to drop, so I spoke today also with the gentleman who runs the great courses, and I have negotiated with him down to 50%.
oh, thank you.
Okay, and I'm also
But no,
going
if you
to,
look at all the wellness pro, the yoga and stuff, it's just, we offer a lot. I think we can definitely cut that back, in my personal opinion. No, go ahead.
It looks like there's a yoga Tuesday, a yoga Friday,
Exactly.
and then just something called yoga. Tuesday, Friday seems like it's consistently high. The thing that's just called yoga at the library, I don't know what day that is. That's the one that doesn't, like, it's 5, 6 people, 4 people.
Exactly.
correct.
So
We were slightly hesitant to cut all, we have so few senior in-house programs, and that's why we were hesitant to drop that one.
But there's, okay, so the other 2 yogas are not seniors?
Oh, no, they're all seniors, but they're on Zoom.
They're
So
on
this would
Zoom.
be the only one of all the wellness programs that take place in the library.
but
So
there's,
that was our
but clearly something's going on. They don't want to come to the library.
Exactly. I mean, when you have 3 to 4 people, 5 people at the max, I just think for the amount of money we're spending, it just doesn't financially make sense.
Mhm.
I think maybe if we talk to the seniors, because they're doing yoga 3 times a week, maybe one of those Zoom programs, if they want to come in here and we condense it down to 2 programs. But the yoga is what I looked at and I was like, wow, we're just not pulling in people.
I have a question. For the writing course, I mean, do we feel like that cost is a good ROI with the instructor? I mean, could it be a question of lower costs from other individuals instead of
There's been a
eliminating-
very long relationship with this particular vendor, and she is a
Yeah.
writing instructor at a lot of the other WLS libraries. So I don't know if the goodwill we would be destroying by cutting
Ah,
back or getting
okay.
rid of it would be worth the
She
savings.
definitely pulls. My other question is, could she increase to 16 or 18 people? So I explained to her that cost return of investment, because I know that people have wanted to join this and have gotten discouraged, because I know she pulls. Kim Kovac definitely pulls. And I know that in the past, people have been discouraged about coming to the course because she takes a limited number. Could she increase that number? We have a perfect room here.
We could ask, but I think the idea being that's the maximum number that with the time allotted that the authors can share what they've written and comments can be made and everything. I mean, I'm sure she came up with that number, not arbitrarily. A lot of thought went into, it, but we can certainly.
Yeah, but
you know,
we
it
should
doesn't hurt
tell
to
her
ask.
that, we're a small library. Our finances aren't like a big library.
It won't decrease, of course, the amount of
No, but
money
this
that we're
way
spending, but yeah.
we can have, more patrons enjoy her
Mhm.
and have a better return on investment.
Yeah, I agree. I think instead of eliminating programs, it's more a question of like ROI and
Yes, I totally agree.
it would
Totally
be so
agree.
So
terrible.
even if we were to drop Tai Chi, reduce great courses by 50%, and then my other one that was a big spender was Ikebana, We currently have it twice a month, $300 per session. Or yoga, either one, one wellness class, I'll say. We'll drop one wellness class.
Yeah,
Okay.
that yoga class,
Okay,
yeah.
so if we were to drop the in-house yoga, reduce great courses by half, and then Ikebana is the other one that I thought we could consider. This is all, for discussion. It's $300 per session, $600 total per month. So it's one of the bigger expenses. I thought it maybe if we offered it once a month instead of twice a month.
I totally agree.
So my feeling on this is that both of these wellness programs and the Ikebana are local people who are running them. So
Correct.
I think that there's got to be some kind of room for conversation with them. I'm sure Marilyn contacts them, and I'd love to help out also, because I think if we do talk to these local people about the library and our expenses, there may be a lot of negotiation going that's possible here in terms of their fees. For example, just a scenario, maybe Sharon wanted to take the summer off and there would be no classes because she wanted no classes, and that might help our expenses. There's a number of other scenarios that I can think of that might be better. And I do respect these local vendors. So
Absolutely.
I like the analysis that you did, but I think that anything we do should involve a conversation with these people.
Of course. Yeah. That's why I spent some time with Larry, who is the one who does the great courses today. He's also a local. I think that's part of the charm of the library is that you come in and your neighbor is the one running the program. It's great.
I agree. Mike had a great suggestion. Let's talk to our vendors that are big spenders.
Of course.
But the program, the yoga in-house, talk to our patrons too. Maybe the 2 classes, because we offer yoga 3 times a week. That I think that's excessive, to be quite frank,
Sure.
because there's a lot of yoga facilities around here, and the Y has a the New Canaan Y, by the way, has an extensive yoga program for I wouldn't say elderly, I would say adults.
But they're not free.
They're not free,
Sorry.
but I know a lot of people that do
Yeah.
go there,
Well,
actually.
if we were to institute those austerity measures, if you will, that will bring our recurring programs only down to 40,860 for 2024. So that leaves us some room, because if we budget the 45,000 again, like we did this year, we would have $5,000 in wiggle room for the one-off stuff.
I also think that the storytelling event grand reopening, that was a one-time cost too. So naturally that's going to bring us down quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
feel that the
anti.
story time was great. It was, well attended, but for the cost return on investment, I think it should only be at one time unless the foundation wants to pay. I just don't see us going forward with a program like that for that kind of expense.
Oh, no, that was always meant to be a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
Um,
pitched it to the foundation, but they weren't interested last year. So I don't know why they wouldn't be this year. So, yeah, again, so that brings us to about the $41,000 number, which I think is a reasonable number. So we can add in one-time things. We have things like just replenishing the seed library and film lectures and things like that are just sort of miscellaneous things that definitely fall under programming, but they won't go away. They're
Totally agree.
recurring too.
Okay.
Okay, good. So that's great. Okay, so then
The museum passes, I totally agree with, well, I use the museum passes. We've seen an increase, I've noticed, in museum
absolutely, I was
passes.
actually planning to drop the non-local ones. That's why my budget for last year was so much smaller, and we've gone over it because we're getting just amazing number of people that want to take out the American Natural History and the
I mean,
Intrepid. and now
I've done
Storm
it,
King.
the Intrepid, I did it with Stewart. I just did Stewart. I mean, it's a great, I think because we're advertising it better, to be quite frank. It's on Instagram and Facebook, and people didn't realize that we had these museum passes. I think it's a plus. And to me, it's a very low expense. I think we should increase it. Everyone agree? I think we really should increase
I
it.
would love to bump it up. We get solicitations all the time from places in New York City. The one I get the most requests for from patrons is actually the Frick.
Oh, I love I love,
So,
yes,
yeah, I would love to bump that up.
definitely.
But they're like $500 per pass. And for example, the MoMA is $1,500 for a year.
Maybe not that one, but
So they're not inexpensive. Do we want to maybe bump it up to 5,000? And I
not from
can get
1,600 to
Frick
5.
and the other, I mean, like this Museum of Science. And all
I
that kind
think
of
we
stuff.
could do like maybe 2,100. I think we can do baby steps.
This is also something we could look at on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah.
See how it's going. Maybe we can work that into a budget assessment just to keep a handle on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
Jennifer's right. We are getting, I mean, because it's being advertised, this is a big service that people want in this library. And it's very, if you look at our programs, this is very low expense considering everything else.
And then,
Okay, our in-house accounting service, Mike. Okay, if we keep going down, professional,
oh, and I'm sorry. Legal fees. I didn't know if you wanted to put in a different plug number.
so when I look at professional, I think we should do, and Mike, please comment. I think we should bang out Ken Gilman as like property manager and put it on a separate
It is.
thing.
It's 7166, professional other.
But professional other, I would like to,
Professional consultants is PFKOD, the audit, and we're locked in for that number.
She's asking for a line item
A
for
line
property
item.
management.
a property manager. This way, nothing
Oh,
else
so just
goes.
rename professional other?
Yeah,
to
what do you
property
guys think?
manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so we know that it's just
Yeah.
property management.
Yeah. Because it's a property manager, and I think it should have its own separate line.
When is did we do a year or 2-year contract with him? Do
A
we
year.
remember? A year. So when does it expire?
January. Well,
Yeah,
January,
but we have a 3-month notice with him.
Well, I wasn't suggesting that.
No,
I'm
I know
just-
that.
The
No, I know that.
statement that will he ask for a raise was the
Yeah.
question.
We'll have to discuss that, but I think I would like to see it as property manager.
I don't think we need to bump up legal anymore. You
Keep
know,
2,500?
yeah, I think
Okay.
that's fine.
Totally agree. Okay, so the next page, guys, 7280.
Insurance.
Insurance, we can't do anything about.
No.
We already proved it. So the buildings and grounds, I agree with you. It seems high because we've spent so much money. I kind of
put-
think we're on the back end of that.
I put an analysis of those into the Dropbox if
I
you want to
saw.
see detail behind it.
I saw. Parking lot project, well,
Do you want to put that in for 2024 or 2023 is why I highlighted that one.
yeah, it's definitely going to be, well, okay, so in my
Yes.
parking lot analysis, we're gonna have to discuss where we're going to go, but we just, we spent $5,000 on a traffic study. We haven't gotten the bill yet. But we're, in my parking lot analysis, we're gonna have to discuss that. It's not gonna be zero if we're gonna go forward. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I mean, that's not a realistic goal. And then, the only other question I have, if we keep on going, is I know you did analysis, the, other technology,
Yes.
the electricity and fuel and telephone, my personal opinion, we cannot change that. It
I-
is what it is.
I did adjust them from last year. Are you happy with those numbers?
I
The proposed?
was. What does everyone say? It was in the Dropbox. I don't know if it's in our things. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Again, the fuel, electricity, telephone. I don't understand why the telephone keeps going up so much. I never understand this.
Yeah, I
but-
did the analysis and it's the same number every month. So I don't understand. And again, it's in the
Yeah, I saw
Dropbox.
it.
So
I understand fuel costs. I understand electricity, NICIC. Everyone understands NICIC.
yeah, some of that 4,000 or whatever it was for the phone, it was carried over from last year, but it still seems incredibly high to me.
Wait, what
Jennifer,
is,
can this be the cell phone payments for the new cell phone that we have for social
That,
media?
you're right. That certainly
would
would be
explain
added
it.
on. Mhm.
Yeah, and that has a great ROI because that runs our social media.
Right. Right.
what is covered in other technology?
So it's in your Dropbox. Let me bring it up.
I think we can put it up there.
So we want to go to. Thought I put it in Dropbox. I do have the analysis in Dropbox. I just don't see it for some reason. It's a combination of our social media manager, GoDaddy, who is our website host, or WS our website host, but we go through them through our SSL certificates, et cetera, et cetera. I'll have to go print it up. I could have sworn I put it in there. I ran like 15 different things. All right, I'm gonna go and grab it.
Okay, while Jennifer's looking for that. Okay. So we don't waste time because we have a lot to cover tonight. Finance, John's not here. But Mike Clark was going to do it for John.
So as you all know, the financial advisor that we've had for many years actually has determined that he wanted to retire. So John, mostly John Cristiano and I have been interviewing prospective financial advisors. We interviewed 3 of them. Number one was and the first one was recommended by our current financial advisor. This turned out to be a big corporate guy. And I think we both soon realized that we were kind of peanuts, and their fees were going to be very high if they determined that they could take us. The second one, I think, also came from Chris Kuhn, but there have been a number of people recommending. And the third person was also recommended by somebody on the board. The second one actually had some good ideas, but he was located in Buffalo, and we felt that was a little bit non-local, not a deal breaker. But the third person is located in Westchester, and really had a lot of interesting ideas. So we came to the conclusion and proposal that we accept, and his name is Barry
Butland, so just to let you
Butland.
know, I'm going to recuse myself. He is a personal friend of mine. I recommended him to the board. I'm not going to vote on him because, again, it's a conflict of interest. You guys can certainly discuss him, and I'm going to leave the room. I'd like to not be present. That's customary when there's a conflict of interest, and let Mike please discuss him. Thank you.
Mike, Barry Butline, Butlein, I think is how it's spelled. A question from Mike is, you had said that you might offer us a policy, an investment policy that you were going to write up. Did you get a chance to do that yet? Okay. So let me just explain briefly. For umpteen amount of years, we've had these endowments. It's from 1975. And we've essentially had the policy of buying bonds to maturity. I think that was kind of explained, extremely conservative way of investing. It's worked out that at least over the past 10 years or so, we end up earning about $30,000 a year from these investments. All of the financial advisors that we've talked to suggest that we get to be a little bit more risk taking, just a little bit. And John has felt that way for a while now. So my other issue is that, Jesus, I mean, why are we holding on to this money for 50 years? That's a separate issue that we need to talk about with our next financial advisor, I think.
Did you, just out of curiosity, did you share with these prospective financial advisors the actual endowment agreements? Because they're pretty restricted and specific, purposes. So
They
we gotta
all were.
we got to be
that was-
careful with that.
That was
And then-
right up front.
And then I just want to clarify, just to be transparent, we have to be very careful when you say quote unquote risk, because these are, they're they're public funds and all that. So you want to make sure that they're, you know, they're in accordance with GML and, you know, so the fiscal advisor needs to be aware of that. They're different. They're definitely different than, you know, private investments. So
So
we gotta,
that's an excellent point, which is why I'm recommending that you read parts of our audit report, because in that audit report, it explains what is permissible for a public library to invest in. And it used to be that it was bonds of various types. But the term that they use now is that it is permissible to invest as a prudent investor would. So they've given more leeway to that. Do I want to see a lot of leeway? No, which is the second issue. We do like Barry as at talking to him. He seems to be a person to work with. He gave us a sample investment policy, which was just totally unacceptable. 50% stocks and, you know, it was just, I wouldn't have taken it for my own. So I think if we decide on Barry, he needs to work very closely with Mike Lewis
Yeah.
to develop a coordinated investment policy. So the big question for tonight is, I and John have met the guy. Bonnie knows him. And the question for this group, everybody here at the end of the day has a fiduciary responsibility for our money. And so do you want to go on our recommendation? A, and vote for him tonight. B, do you want to meet him in some format, either by Zoom or have him come to one of the meetings so that you could make yourself comfortable with him, or some other option? Your thoughts?
So my thought is the reason we have a committee is so that we don't have to all do everything. So my preference is that we go with your suggestion and then we have, just like we did with Chris Kuhn, he comes in periodically. I think we'd probably have him in earlier rather than later, once he, you know, looks at all of the endowment information, talks to you, et cetera, and then maybe comes in with a proposal. But I'm not sure that any of us are going to have, you know, more knowledge, information, et cetera, than you guys as part of the committee. That's my person.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Trust your opinion.
Good. Okay. Then
I think you
can
want to, if I may, you want to make a selection, obviously, and, you know, based on what the committee is recommending. And then in conjunction, we could all, well, I'll work with you as well with the new gentleman. And we'll at the same time do the investment policy up. This is a great opportunity now to update the investment policy, you know, and put pen to pencil on these endowment funds and, you know, and see what we could do. And then by by October, he'll have his third quarter report and we can go from there. So.
that sounds great. I did leave out the question of fees. By John's calculations, it comes out to somewhere on the order of about $6,000 a year, or about 1,500 per quarter, which is just a slight increase from what we're currently paying.
Yeah.
So then, can I have a motion for our financial advisor selection?
Son? Okay, I make a motion that we approve the candidate that was recommended by our finance committee. His name is Barry Buttline, to be our new investment advisor. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Jenna. thank you. Okay, Bonnie.
Okay, great. Moving on, we were going to get, I think we should rotate back to Jennifer. We had a question on the budget, the breakdown analysis of the other technology.
Which you can see here on the screen.
See, I think that was in the drop. Wasn't this in the Dropbox?
It, I thought it was, but I guess it was not, and
I
it's,
thought I
now
saw
it is.
this. Or maybe she. just-
Larger? Yeah, there's a way to do that. Let me think.
So many-
I don't see that. After add signatures, I'm in the three dots. I don't see anything here that says Zoom. Do you? I do. Good thinking. So it looks like a big part of it was,
So the base technology digitization of archives, that won't be happening.
I beg your pardon?
The digitization of archives won't be happening. That's a
Hap-
one-time fee.
Happened. You wanted to know how we got to the other technology number. Okay,
But we should include that in the budget going forward.
Right.
Because that's a one-time fee.
correct.
And just on a side note, have we able to label it so, and we should probably all get trained on how to find information.
Oh, in the digitization of files?
Yeah, because remember when it was done, no one could find anything because everything was.
Yeah, it's basically a, search icon and enter. So it's pretty intuitive now.
So on the,
So
bu-
the other
on the budget page, on other technology, we had
Yeah,
30,000.
shouldn't we?
Go
I'm
back to
sorry.
your analysis, sorry, it's
Exactly.
14,000,
Exactly,
but minus 6,000.
exactly. So
So I
where
think
is
this
the
is way high.
30,000 coming from when we had a budget of 2023 of 12 and actual? I don't understand where we're
Yeah.
going to 30,000.
So let's drop that to 25.
No, even less. If you go
20?
based on this,
Also, because you have the 2023 projection as 33,744, but where is that coming from? If
It's because I had actual numbers through May.
And you
so I
doubled.
took
She doubled.
exactly.
but it's not going to be a double of the 14.
See, that's what Mike was telling me. You got to be very careful.
Yeah, yeah.
In
so it-
90% of the cases that worked,
yeah,
but this one
it
did not.
doesn't.
Okay.
Because of that 6,000 is not going to get doubled.
Exactly. And then
Yeah, I think 20 is probably reasonable.
so the other thing, so I thought some of these things, and I could be wrong. Some of these other technology, isn't it just a 1-year fee and not a 6-month fee and then we pay again? Like, isn't
this-
GoDaddy a one?
This is right through May.
No, what I'm asking is though,
Yeah.
you doubled it, but aren't some of these things just a 1-year fee?
No, these are ongoing.
No, that's not the question.
No.
So how often do we pay GoDaddy?
Yeah, GoDaddy is not $2,000 every month.
No, it's every year.
Right.
Yeah, so what I'm
So
saying.
doubling it
is-
doesn't work for that 2,000 either.
Exactly,
Right.
because
Okay.
then it doesn't go to 4,000, it only stays at
Yeah.
2,000.
Yeah.
So some of these are just yearly fees, but you doubled them.
Right.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's a monthly fee.
She's a monthly.
Because social media is
that was going to be my
technology.
question too.
Because she's Dana Ciatola, social media management, and social media management is a technology cost. That's how we've been categorizing it.
See her under another, like, other fees. Yeah, like consulting fees. Or
Yeah, I understand what Jennifer's saying about
Yeah.
keeping it categorized based on vertical, but I think since she's like human capital, maybe we consider move, and you would say officially,
You
like
can put
maybe
it wherever you want. I
yeah,
don't
we can
care.
put her into, consultants, just
this.
so we can get a clear view on the people that we're paying as individuals.
The line items are going to get pretty long if we start breaking
I know.
out
Well,
each and everything.
we're going to put Ken Gilman under a separate line, so we can put.
helps us account for any change. So I'm a proponent.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a,
But at least
Because you're a big line item, Mike.
You know, Mike, you have a separate line, right?
So, okay. With Heidi, yeah. So let's go back to other technology. So I'm looking at some of these, and again, GoDaddy I know is a 1-year fee. Niche Academy, is that a 1-year fee? And
yes.
Plymouth Rocket. So we
Yes.
doubled this. I don't think this set is very accurate at all, to be quite frank.
Okay.
And I think the 6,000 we can take out for 2024. So we can work on it right now, or do we want to go back and present this in August?
Well, this was discussion,
Yeah, so
session.
this other technology, because most of these are yearly fees, we really need to work on this, and then we need to take out for 2024, the base technology. The digitalization of archives,
So
okay?
at least set it down to 10.
Yeah, because I don't know, I know GoDaddy's a 1-year fee, and I know some of these niche academies a 1-year fee. I don't know everything else.
I think for the sake of just going forward, why don't we just carry over and then we can discuss just carry over from what we did last year, the budget from last year, and then we'll see. There's a lot, yeah.
Okay,
12. Okay. That's good. Then we have
12,
money to move elsewhere.
okay.
12,000
So,
for other technology.
anything else for discussion, guys? Because again, I think the electricity, fuel and telephone, I still don't understand telephone. You explained it a little bit to Jennifer, to me. Anything else on the budget? So Jennifer, if you want to, work out the extra money,
That's what we're just about to discuss. Yeah. Do you want to put it towards programs? Then we don't have to
I
start
think we
cutting
do.
them.
I think that's legitimate. I think we should do it with
That means we
programs.
can put 18, right? 18 towards programs.
Yeah, and is everyone comfortable with pushing 18,000 through programs? Adult programs?
So now we're at 40.
I don't know how to spend it, but I'd like to put a little bit more into publicity and then discuss how we can do that.
And we just said that the fee for our investment guy is going to be a little bit more. So we have to make sure we count for that too.
Very
we'll-
good.
Probably
points.
about 1,000 for the year. So not, yeah.
Very good points.
We can make all those adjustments, Mike and I, and send it out, and then we can make the final decisions at August, and that's when you're going to vote on it.
That
Is
would be
that
great.
satisfactory?
So if everyone's okay. Take your microphone.
We could just give you a better analysis on that other technology to support the number that, yeah, that's fine.
If there's no other questions, I think we're fine. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Mike. I think we're fine. So we'll send that through the email system and we'll move on. Thank you, Mike and Jennifer, for,
Sure.
and Alan, of course, I know you had a hand in this. Thank you so much for everything. Okay, so we got finance. Let's move on to Mike Clark and governance.
Jenny, do you want to talk about this?
So continuing our preliminary discussions last month over our confidential library records policy, we revisited it. I'm just gonna wait until we can pull it up. We had some considerations around our wording about protecting the confidentiality of patrons' individual records, and we wanted to make sure that we could feel confident in how we were expressing that wording. So we came to an agreement around wording that we feel comfortable with, and we referenced the ALA's guidance and a lot of their specific wording around this. So I just want to make sure I can read this right. What we put forward, just looking at this, is yeah, thanks, sorry, I couldn't read it. You can go up a little bit. Yes, can you just go up a little bit because there's more? Great, so where we made the change, where we're proposing the change is the top. And it says that circulation records of individual patrons of the Pound Ridge Library District and other records identifying the names of library users are normally confidential regardless of the source of inquiry. And what we did is we clarified that first phrase, and then we added the secondary phrase and other records identifying the names of library users to give us adequate coverage. And we feel like this is the right balance.
I totally agree.
Great.
One more.
Oh, do you want to speak to this change? Okay. The first one was the one it's a little tricky. So we feel good about this and we'd like to propose updating it on the website.
I totally agree as well.
Right.
So is there any discussion on this? If there's no discussion, I make a motion that we approve the following changes based on Jenna Weiss's discussion and based what's on. Any
Second,
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much, Jenna and Mike.
Thanks go to Jennifer for offering the ALA
thank you,
and
Jennifer.
for Anne and Jennifer for reviewing these things.
Thank you. Jenna Weiss, Public Relations.
We added that in the question of time. I don't know if we, because perhaps the best idea would be to say, let's review this and do it next time.
Totally agree.
And that will be the confidentiality, which I'll send out again for you to look at.
Great.
So from a PR committee standpoint, a few statistics that stuck out in last month were that was that there was a 47% increase in people asking for directions, which means, I mean, like we can assume reasonably that more new people are coming, whether from other towns or from our town, and they don't know how to get here. So happy to see that. And I think that's a good plug for our ongoing programming efforts. And then additionally, there was an increase of 22% in website visits just from our profile. So this is all moving in the similar positive trajectory that we've seen in previous months. And then additionally, I would like to also share that the library was very proactive and got on the Threads app. And we're going to be working, Jennifer, I plan to stop in tomorrow. I'd love to discuss how we can carve out a strategy for the platform.
Great. My thing, if we could just discuss public relations for just 1 second. I love our Facebook. I love our Instagram. I love everything. My question is that we advertise musical munchkins, great. And we advertise Kurt with music, great. We don't need any more attendance. We're doing great. The advertising, I every time I'm on Facebook or Instagram, in my personal opinion, it's always the same programs. We already know they're very well attended. And I know parents love to see their kids, but I would love to see more books, book of the month, book of the week, book of this. I'd like to see more adult programs. I mean, we just went through some of our programs that are not pulling. I think to your point before, social media, and I'd like to see more adult programs. I think we're concentrating way too much on children's. Thank you guys. We're doing great with children's, but I'd like to see more adult programs being advertised on Facebook and Instagram. And books. That's where we are, books.
So I think that's great feedback, and Jennifer and I have continued to discuss that month over month. We can probably revisit, a refreshed strategy. It's been a busy summer. I do think that the library's been working to get more book coverage. You'll see that there was a great post on the most popular fiction at the library, which was an exemplary post, I would say, just on really giving scope into what's been popular. And then additionally, that digital book club post. So we can just calibrate maybe to a heavier cadence leaning towards books and adult programming. Thank you for the feedback.
No, you're welcome. That's my personal opinion only, but I think based on what we reviewed on our budget, definitely adult program needs a little more push. People still,
agree.
yeah, people still don't know we have yoga here.
Great. We will
Canasta.
make a reel or a post or a thread. We will.
Exactly.
I just also want to put a highlight again on books, like focusing on books. So I think, that part of the adult programming perspective as well, not just, the wellness programs.
No,
and
I
could-
totally agree.
And I can tell you, like, when I actually was in Booksy, the bookstore, right before Father's Day. And then there's a bookstore up at Lake Placid I was in. And just like, I literally bought books because I walked in and there was a shelf that was like grad books that you might want to, buy, and Father's Day books and I was not going to buy my niece a graduation book. I was just giving her cash, but I bought a book too. Right. So like having those types of displays and then posting them would be great.
Like travel, like I haven't seen any, like we have a great travel section. Alan knows I used to get on travel really
Summer.
big. We never posted like this is the time to keep posting our travel section over there. Everyone and their brother this year seems to be going away. And I think travel books, no one knows we had the DK and everything else.
Yeah, Jeanette in our director's notes for the newsletter. As far as publicizing the in-house adult programs, we've got Tai Chi, Canasta, great courses, and Ikebana. And it's basically people sitting at a card table and they prefer not to be.
We also have knitting.
And knitting, which I think we do put out there.
I
Yeah,
hope
so
everybody
a lot
saw
of-
my photo for Ikebana.
I
I
did.
did.
Many of the seniors prefer not to have their photos taken or.
Yeah, but we could take a photo of the actual
The deck of
instructor
cards or the
or the instructor.
Jennifer, we can get this done with a simple brainstorm and coffee. I'll bring coffee. So we will now.
We have coffee here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll go to the coffee bar.
You can use stock photos too of yoga. I mean, there's yeah.
Oh, we'll come up with a plan.
Yeah.
This is great feedback. Thank you.
Okay, so next, programming, Selena's not here, but I think we just discussed programming and everything, because she's not here, I think we should skip it. Valerie, human resources, nothing, okay. John, long range planning, he's not here. I don't think Mike, nothing. Interior and, children's cost review.
Well, so basically, no update on the interior, except that I thought that we were we may have tabled it for another time if we were going to start a new committee for looking at a refresh for the children's room. We were presented with some ideas in a previous meeting, but then I also thought we were going to go back to Brad to see if he could give us an estimate, Jennifer, of what things, okay. Well, I don't see costs. Like I can't read if there's costs up there. Okay. Okay, there it is. And this was obviously a ballpark number based on, what we would select, but I don't know if we want to discuss this, if we want to pick another
Well,
committee.
I think that we should start a committee, like you said. So the people that are here, and Jenna White just left, but I know Jenna has a lot on her plate. Would anyone like to take up a committee of the children's room, Jennifer?
Committee. I will join a committee. I don't know that I can chair the committee
So this is something for,
right now.
probably for 2024.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's,
sure.
I most likely won't be running again, so,
I'll do it.
you would check.
Okay, so Jennifer Savage, and we'll get more volunteers as we
Mhm.
go. It should be someone, obviously, we have one seat, which is Anne,
Okay.
Mary Ann Walsh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm happy to stay on the committee. as
Okay,
well.
so
Okay.
Valerie, Mary Ann Walsh, and Jennifer Savage.
And
Okay,
this is
great.
going to be a big connection with the foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So you
So-
guys can meet and report in August or September or whatever. Okay, great.
Okay, and the only other new thing will be, hopefully soon, the beautiful plaque that will be in our foyer over our original school desks, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Anne. Oh my goodness, that parking lot. Okay, next the committee is the parking lot. Okay, just a quick refresh. Today was the deadline for the planning board meeting for July. Obviously, we're not making that. August, the planning board does not meet, just to let you know that. So September is the planning board meeting. I talked to the traffic study. His name is Brian Dempsey. The company is TDS. I don't know if Neil's on there, but TDS Provident Engineering. Just want to make that, I think we got that wrong in the paper. That is the engineering company. I spoke with them. They did have a traffic study done out there. I thought it was in the trees, but Jennifer, I found it. It was, they were able to attach a camera to the sign out there. And they attached the black thing that you run over. Most people didn't even notice it. That was done a 2.5, 3 week period. It's already taken up. Their analysis is they've heard from the state. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that there were no accidents that involved coming out of our driveway as per New York State. All the accidents, as we probably knew, or occurred at the intersection, which does not affect our driveway, unbeknownst to me, but so this is how it works. DTS gives these findings. It's up to our planning board to read this analysis and give their opinion and review. Again, this is all analysis. There were 3 major accidents outside our intersection. It did not involve anyone coming out of the library, thank goodness. No fatalities, which is also a consideration. So that's a good thing. They don't report on how severely injured a person was in the accident, but but New York State reports on how, if there were any fatalities, and there were none. So that's a good thing.
How was this over a period of?
So 3 years, a little over 3 years. New York State provided them. That's so
Oh.
3 years,
Oh,
3
you're
accidents.
talking about 3 accidents in 3 years, or just when we had just a
No,
few
3
weeks?
accidents in 3 years that was reported to New York State. I don't know the guidelines. I'll find out in the report, maybe if it's under $10,000. There's lots of things reported to the police, but New York State doesn't get involved. So these accidents were probably pretty severe if it was reported to New York State. Again, I don't know the criteria for that. That's for our planning board, and that's for this engineering company. None of us are experts in that, but New York State provided them with what they want. Again, but no fatalities, which is a good thing. Thank God. The other thing is that we will get this analysis. I will share it by email next week. The site engineer, which is the site from 137 on all angles. He does an analysis. He's an engineer as well, site engineer, and he does analysis into our driveway by cameras and everything. That report has to come. This is all technology oriented analysis based on feet and sight lines. The report will be what it is. They, as you remember, the contract was very detailed. They do 1 free meeting in front of the planning board. Right now, we're in the preliminary stages, so we're not going to need them in September. But if we want to move forward as formal, you saw their pricing. And when you move into a formal, if anyone attended the planning board meeting, we still have to go in front of formal if we want anything done. And the formal will mean we have to answer to our town's engineer. Our town engineer will definitely probably have questions for this engineer. None of us are qualified to answer, so we're going to have to pay them per hour. So keep that in mind when we're thinking about expenses. You saw the breakdown. This company has specific engineers, as I was just told, and so they will have to answer accordingly to our town engineer, who I'm sure will have a million questions. So that's where the money starts going into play. And again, they only give us 1 planning board meeting free. Then we have to pay all of them to come to our meeting. And if they sit there for 3 hours, we have to pay, they're from White Plains, we have to pay for their transportation, and we have to pay for them to sit there and listen to other applicants. So just keep this in mind when we're discussing the parking lot. Okay, so we have to wait for the analysis. It's going to be next week, when there's no planning board meeting in August. So my next proposal is, we've got a lot of potholes up here. So Jennifer? Oh, it's up. I'm sorry. Okay, so minus which was only $350 for our back parking lot, which is our easement to our neighbors, which we already filled, Lapino already filled. So in order to fill our existing potholes that we have around the curve, and the curve is all unfortunately disintegrated, and because we did the lighting and everything, this is what he's proposing, because he has to layer, you see the layers of a binder and everything, in order for it to stick, is $7,150. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going in front of the planning board. I will make sure in September. Paving driveways and stuff ends in October 15th. Those plants close. We are not getting this driveway paved this year, being honest. We will be paving it maybe in the spring of 2024, depending on if we want to go for more spaces or if we just want to leave it alone and just keep going with our merry lives. So that's the reality. So this winter, we have all of this. If you drive up there, it's now a complete mess from this construction. So board discussion. Or what does everyone want to do?
Let me just make sure I understand. We're obviously not getting the parking lot paved because the meetings pushed to September and all these other,
We have to do a formal.
Right.
So we're still in preliminary.
that's not happening.
Not
That's
happening.
But the potholes are a problem and it looks horrible. It does. Okay. So we want to talk about if we want to, in the interim, spend $7,150 on potholes. Plus, what's that is it
No,
a
the
350?
350 is, I just said, we've already done that. Lupino already did it. It's
The
our
three-
neighbor's parking. So you're minus 350
So 7,150 minus 350.
because the pavement has failed up there. That's why we're always getting water and potholes.
Mhm.
The pavement, there's almost nothing. It's almost dirt up there now, unfortunately.
So can I ask a question though? Normally we get 3 quotes.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie.
Are we going to consider other quotes?
So here's the thing with to get other quotes. The thing is his equipment's already here, like, that fill in the back, that pile of dirt, unfortunately, and all the piles that you see around. So he would use that material. If we got someone else, those piles, we're gonna have to pay him to remove all that because we're not doing the driveway now. Or we just leave it there. And so it will be cost effective for us because some of this, so part of that binder is those, we're being charged less because we have all those fills in the back that he will use as the basis for this material. Because we've already paid for that, because that was part of our electrical. They already dug up, they already saved that material. Am I making sense? So that's the problem.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know what these things cost. And so it's hard to say whether this is a good quote or like, I have absolutely no idea.
I think you know what? My thing also is, and again, I have no allegiance to Lawrence, but thank you, Mike. But we already have a quote with him to pave. If we hire someone else to do this, we lost our goodwill. Because obviously we hired him to do the whole shebang. And then obviously we ran into trouble with trying to restripe the place. And that, we put everything on hold. I just wouldn't feel comfortable at this point, taking this piece and giving to someone else and then having him to come back and say, oh, well, you honor that price in 2021. Now it's 2024. We're still in the planning board stage. And I don't know if he would, on good faith, if he would honor that price.
So then my other question is, again, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
We don't have to do this.
No, I'm not opposed. I just want to understand something like, and is there something less than? So is there like a, hey, we're going to repave the entire thing? Is there a cheaper way to do it for 6 months, a year, whatever it's going to be until we do the big thing?
So because we've always been filling in everything over there and the fill.
And the
lasts for about a
filling
month.
hasn't worked because I've sat here
Exactly.
for meetings for 3 years.
Exactly.
Listen to Ken Gilman say, there's potholes up there, we filled them. And then
A month
a
later.
month later, there's potholes again. So yeah.
Lawrence and I met several times, as you know. So what he's saying is, and the reason why we're always filling the stupid potholes is because I asked him the same question, is because as you see, it has failed. We have filled potholes, but the underneath part has failed. And so he put obviously he redid our drainage up there and our electrical, but the whole system underneath, he has to take, in order for us not to fail, he has to take out the macadam, break it up as you see, and redo it up there. Because if we fill potholes, he actually doesn't want to do the job because he says in a month, you're going to tell me that it's all screwed up again. And because we had all the machines come in, which is another issue, because we had the big machines come in for all the electrical, it even compromised that area further. And that's our issue now.
And it's going to have to get us through the winter, right?
And, quite frankly, if we decide to, let's just say that we're in the front of the planning board and maybe we can get an extra 20, 30 spaces. If you think that's going to get filled maybe in 2024, maybe it's not going to get done to 2025, to be quite frank. We all been on front of the planning board where, we're going to have to do new architectural plans and go through the whole shebang again. As we know, that's months and months. So we might not even, if we get more spaces, we might be pushed into 2025. I mean,
Yeah,
realistically.
Let's table that because I have a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas of like, if just from my own perspective, if I were to agree to move forward with more spaces, what I would want the planning board to agree to reduce our costs. Like, I just think I understand. I'm not saying we're going to get what we want, but like, I believe, like, for instance, I would say, since we're a, nonprofit and we're based on taxpayers' money, can you ensure that we're the first meeting every planning board? I
I've
hear you.
asked that.
I know, but again, we have a bunch of people now that are on our side, a bunch of patrons and stuff like
Well,
that.
what they do
It's
is
worth the
because
it's worth the
it's all
discussion.
patrons. I've asked that.
Yeah.
That's not a question I've not asked. They do it by fairness and I totally agree with them. When you are new business, whoever gets in the applicant first, they go by whoever
Yeah,
puts it in
anyways.
first.
There's no point in discussing it now, but anyways, I'm just saying, I'm not going to agree to spend unknown dollar amounts as a board unless there's some guarantee. So, but that's a different issue. So I don't know. I guess I don't think we have a choice. It's my view, but I don't know.
Honestly, it's a lot of money. I felt the same way. I just don't think we have a choice either, to be quite frank. That whole area is failing miserably now.
And I consider this part of the overall project that's been done, and this is essentially kind of repairs for all the trucks that were there. So I don't have a problem with this quote, just accepting it and getting it done.
Any other comments?
I mean, it does make sense because they're here and the equipment's there. I mean, it does make sense.
Okay, again, it's not money that I'm throwing lightly at this board. It's something though that parking lot is a mess.
And this will be done in the very near future.
Yeah, you could do it in a week or two because he's got the material now.
Isn't one of our endowments for outside? Like, couldn't it count?
Yeah, so my next question was, and Mike and I actually spoke today about it, and we've been speaking regularly, we have, funds that are restricted, but they're restricted for maintenance. Is anything due in bonds or anything that we could use one of our bonds for this?
I'll find out. The last time I was asked was in May, so I don't know if there's more coming due. I'll find out and report back to the board
Great.
by the end of the week.
So I think we should approve this and then Mike Clark will get back to us in August if we could use some of our restricted funds, because I know, I almost positive this fund for Mrs. Wood is not, but I know some of the other funds. can.
There's one fund that is unrestricted.
Okay,
So it's only a question of how liquid it is. So
Okay, great.
we'll find out. And I'd like to make that part of every, let's pick a number and, we're going to spend more than X. Is there an endowment fund for that? As part of every
yes,
discussion?
maybe John can also work on, every month you guys report how much is liquid and before we just automatically roll things over.
Yeah.
So so again, Jennifer, if you can go back to this. So do I have a motion to propose, I think it was $7,150, am I correct? $7,150 to repair oral potholes and rip up some of the paving. And before we approve it, Alan and Jennifer, we are going to have parking lot issues when this gets done. I will let you guys know for our programs because he's going to have to take out some of the parking lot and not use it for a couple of days, okay? Back to that again.
I'll make a motion that we have Lawrence Construction pay them $7,150 to remove the existing failed pavement and replace it with binders and new pavement.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Great. And again, I will pass around that information traffic study and we're going to be, just to let you guys know, I think it's September it's always the third or fourth week, September 24th or 26th, we're in front of the planning board again. And we can discuss that in August meeting, okay? Okay, next, OEM warming, nothing to report. Technology, Mike Clark. Okay, vendor contract review, we already have it in place, nothing to report. Director's report, Jennifer.
Okay, so first up is the fence repair. The numbers are up here, but I just wanted to mention that I did speak with the Landmarks and Historic Board, and this, like the addition of the vents in the roof, would have to go through the certificate of appropriateness application and the site walk, et cetera. It's obviously not, I don't think is something that you want to invest in. So I think we would just not replace the missing finials and just repair the fence. So you have the numbers in front of you. Genesis Pro was by far the least expensive. We've worked with him before. He's dependable, reliable, and competitive in price.
So this is our entrance. It got knocked, the police think that someone plowed it from the roadway. This is going to be completely replaced, not repaired. This is unrepairable, in my opinion. Yeah. It's gotten
I'm
worse.
trying to keep as much of it as possible so it's considered a repair rather than a replacement, because then we're going to have to go through all the hullabaloo.
So a repair is, if it's like this, as long as it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not making any changes to it.
exactly. I mean, it's like if our window got broken, we'd have to replace the window. As long as we kept
Exactly.
the same window, we wouldn't have to go through anything. Yeah. So this, I just wanted to make sure Genesis knows that this whole thing, you can't just glue it back together.
No.
Yeah.
So if
So
someone,
we're gonna do the repair without finials,
correct.
because we don't want to go in front of the it was the Landmarks, and there was a lot of approvals, right? I
Correct.
read, okay.
So I saw there were questions. This fence, I'll tell you when it was painted, and I think Marilyn's on it. So this fence was repaired and painted. My kids actually have a picture in the Poundridge Partnership. It was with 20 kids. I could tell you they did a terrible job. And I could tell you, my kids were in elementary school, so I can imagine with the 20 elementary school kids, they all have paintbrushes. And there was a father there fixing the fence. And that was the last time, and that was 2010 or 11. That was the last time this was painted and fixed. So I know that for a fact, and on the partnership's Facebook or website or something, it's an old picture of the library's fence being painted and fixed. And so we did it very haphazardly, but I commend the partnership. That was the last time this fence was done.
So we have two proposals up there that include finials.
But we shouldn't do finials because then
No,
we have to go in front of
No, I know
landmarks.
that when, so those
Those
So
finials
those
can't be
aren't
that much.
accurate then, those proposals, and we didn't give it,
Yeah,
we
but
didn't-
if you see the 8,000 and finials are going to cost us there's no way finials cost 5,000.
no, okay.
So I propose that we go to Genesis proposal, $2,345.
Okay, yeah, well, just,
Want
well,
to go back to MAK and Lupino and say, no finials, what do you want?
well, we have a history with Lupino, so.
Right, but I think
yeah.
what Bonnie is saying is if with finials, it's 8,645, that means they're charging 5,000 for finials for them to even
Well,
be in the realm.
Well, we're kind of assuming that, but yeah.
Well,
That, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to trash anyone. They're local people, but $5,000 for finials, they're not in the ballpark. And so I think we can base it on this minus finials, let's just say 2,000. I think that they can't compare to $2,345. So besides wasting everyone's time, I think that everyone agree. So I make a motion that we propose Genesis Pro for $2,345 to fix the fence without the finials.
second,
Okay, approved.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jennifer. Next item?
Workers' comp renewal. You have two proposals in front of you, Utica 2352 and Hartford 2387 from the insurance agent. They wanted to provide you with more options. All the coverage payrolls are the same and both Hartford and Utica provide superior customer service. So just need to know which one you'd like to go with.
I think we should stick with Utica then. What does everyone think?
The only thing interesting about the Utica proposal is that they put on a premium, an experience premium. Do you know what that was related to?
I do not. I'd have to call Heidi and she might know.
So I mean, the cost is the same, but they didn't outline why they were charging us a 1.1 premium adjustment for experience. I didn't know what that was about.
I can find out and get back to you on that. But we do need to approve one of them tonight because its renewal is August 5th. So we won't make it till the next meeting.
I make a motion that we approve staying with Utica Insurance for the next 12 months.
Thank you. Next thing is the children's room. We went over that, it's about 85,000. Get back to you with the information if you have any. Miscellaneous, the trustee elections, the nominating petitions have been posted on the website and hard copies are available in the library, and I'll be putting it on social media tomorrow. We're going to have a new election coordinator this year. Our one from last year is unable to complete those duties. So I've asked Hannah if she's interested in stepping up. She's going to give it some thought and let us know. No, that we have to put a legal notice in there a little bit further down the line, but we weren't going to do a call for trustees advertisement unless you would like to. Neil didn't sign on and it wouldn't be free. It would be an ad for probably $250 to $400. He'll probably ask for minutes from this meeting to write it, so. I consider that social media when I said social media. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Can post to the town Facebook group as well. How many board seats are up and who is exiting? Yeah,
No.
but you can still be secretary, right? Yeah. No, I mean, aren't officers, can't they have their seats without the board seats? Great. Great. Yeah.
Secretary is
Thank
an
you.
secretary is an officer position. I asked if she was interested. She hasn't given me an answer. Yes, I just wanted to mention, are you ready to move on from trustee? There's two upcoming events. This Saturday, July 15th is the Pete Malaverni concert here at 3 p.m. We have a shuttle for that. And next Thursday, July 20th at 6 p.m. You probably all got invitations to the Conservation Art Reception. You can see their beautiful artwork here.
Two days ago. We're good. Not that I want to advertise other people, but the reason why my wife is not joining me is that the Pound Ridge Ambulance Corps is running a program in conflict, which is training people how to use naloxone for naloxone for drug overdoses. Narcan. So, yeah, so if there's somebody that you know who's also interested in that, I highly recommend that.
I just have one quick question. The other day on Instagram, Jennifer and Alan, there was some program that ch- it changed twice where it was going to be held. Do you know what I'm talking about? I saw, what happened that day? It was going to be held here. Then later on, there was another Instagram message. It's now changed again. What was that? Was it weather related or was it? And I hope people see that, like, because it's like a last minute thing.
It was for music. Originally, we were gonna have the music here because it was supposed to be hot. And then Jennifer texted me in the morning, said it was nice and cool out. So we moved it back to the Market Square. And so that, I think that's the program that you're referring to,
I
Ann.
think it was. And people see it and they.
Yeah, they
so this was
saw it.
Okay.
By the time the program was over, it was hot, so some of the, I did get some complaints, or not complaints, but some
Okay. I just.
feedback that it was a little bit warm, so
And then I also see that
you can't make everybody happy.
we're going to set up a miniature golf course in the children's room. I said,
Yes,
That's
well,
it.
we did that
Very
last summer and it worked out very well.
okay, great.
Any other comments or? Okay, I'd like to call a quick executive session and any public comments? I think there's one or two people, Jennifer. Any public comments? Open? Okay, we're going to close this meeting. Do I have a motion to close it? I have a motion 9:27 to close it. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? We're closed, a 3-minute, not a 5-minute, 3-minute recess. We're going to executive.